I'm one of the members of the International Affairs Committee of TWNIC. I'm also a law firm partner at D&D. It's my honor to host this discussion session, and I feel really very much pleased and happy to form this panel because I invited all of my friends and who are the specialists in the AI area, and I'm so happy that they agreed to show up and share their experience and knowledge with everyone here. So first, let me introduce our panelists. So we will start from the right-hand side. The first one is Thomas Kuiper. And he has been in Taiwan for many, many years, but he doesn't speak Chinese, right? He still talks English most of the time. He's a very long-term domain name expert, and he has been in the domain name industry for a long time. So today we are asking him to share his insight and views on AI's impact on the domain name system and the ecosystem. And next to Thomas is Chen, 永珍徐永珍老师. Chen is the professor of Computer Science and the Information Technology Department at National Taiwan University. She holds many, many titles. One of the important titles is I should say Vice Chair of the AI Center of Excellency for Taiwan. So she's a very, very important person for Taiwan's AI development. And next to Jen is Isabel He. She is also a lawyer, and she used to work at D&D too. But she has also many, many other titles and experience in other industry in the field. And she's now the Secretary General of Taiwan AI School. Okay. Next to Isabel is Maximilian Chen Yiru, and he's the head of public policy of Meta Taiwan. We all know that Meta just recently launched Llama 3. So it's very, it's our privilege to hear from him the first-hand experience of launching a large language model on a network platform. So let's welcome our panelists and give them big hands. Thank you. So the first, I will invite Thomas to share his insight and experience in the domain industry. So Thomas, please.
Okay, yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Kuiper. I'm with the Taiwan Trademark Association. I'm a director there and also on the Internet Committee for the International Trademark Association. So I want to show you a little bit what is the impact on the domain name industry and also what happened with brand after AI got announced. So on the business side, here you see a slide, okay, what is the number of .ai domain names which have been registered since 2018. And as you can see, there has been a huge jump since 2022, 2023. The amount of domains has doubled in a year, and it's probably going to be 1 million at the end of this year or beginning of next year. So, which is surprising because .ai is a domain name which costs $70 per year, and you can register it for 2 years minimum. So it costs everybody who wants to get those domain name around $180 to $200, and things like 4,000 Taiwan dollars, right? And so it's a lot of money. And what actually happened is with all these registrations, according to CSC, which you know is a brand registrar, they find out that most of their customers, they don't have this domain name actually registered, including other brands, and many of them are actually squatted. And so the solution about it is luckily AI, because AI is actually a small country in the Caribbean, which belongs to the UK, or so overseas territory of the UK, which means they have their own parliament. But the EU GDPR, which is now the UK GDPR, applies there as well. So they have the same privacy rules, almost like the European Union. They also have the same appliance of domain name rules, which is UDPR. So for dispute resolution, you can go to the WIPO, even if you don't have a trademark in this small island. I mean, the small island has only like 15,000 people who live there. It's 100 square kilometer big, you know, but they have 500,000 domain names now. So, yeah, I don't know how many is that per person. Okay, I'm not that good in math, but So if you see that, okay, this .ai domain name was one of the biggest impacts in the beginning for the domain name industry, and it happened right after ChatGPT was announced. Also, with regards to AI, the brand monitoring now became better. So the .ai, the people who run the registry, they released their zone file, so people can actually analyze who has registered the OA domain names. So if you use a monitoring service, or a company which has a monitoring service, you can actually find, okay, if someone has registered some, like Microsoft whatever .ai, but the risk usually is less higher because the domain name is so expensive, but because AI is so popular, the risk is higher again for brands. Yeah, so that's the problem. And also in the domain name industry, there was a huge conference just in March in New York from the International Trademark Association, which was the business of AI. So if you check out that conference on the internet, you can see there's a lot of topic about domain names as well, and what people do against cyber squatting using AI, and also against those malicious actors. Yeah, so that's about .ai. And even on the secondary domain market, which is mostly run by APAC-TWNIC, which belongs to GoDaddy Group, and CEDO, number 2 or number 3 is anything related to AI, which replaced my and me, which was like in the beginning first. So in terms of disputes, so this is from the WIPO, you can see from 2023 there's major brand names like Carrefour, Calvin Klein, which had their domain name squatted. And in most cases here it says terminated, which means there was an agreement found without having a WIPO panelist decide. So somebody paid money, or the registrant just talked with the registrar and gave up their domain name. And yeah, so that's gonna continue. There's a lot of people who say this has been increased a lot, but I think it's actually still, comparing the number of domain names, the number of disputes is not that bad, right, or not that high. But it's still a problem, right? So also good for people who work in marketing. .ai since 2023 is considered a generic top-level domain name by Google. And so AI, just like .tv and .co, is considered a domain name which is like a .com or .net. And .tv actually is things run by VeriSign, I think. They have like also millions of domain names registered, and Tuvalu is also a country which recognized Taiwan actually. Yeah, I know the ambassador, he lives in Shillin. Yeah, and and they have like 10,000 people only, it's even less than .ai. And yeah, so it's generic now. Then there was an interesting survey to around 800 people who work in security, if they are using AI now for the network security, for the IT security, and 70% said yes. So you can look at this survey. It's on the website qz.com, which is like a tech network, and they announced, okay, what people are actually doing against the trends of AI, especially for brands. And in terms of malicious actors, it's found out already that governments are acting government-funded initiatives or hackers are using this to do malicious code, to do attacks using ChatGPT, but many of those times those are not directly directed at the domain name industry or at the domain name specifically, but they're used to analyze source code, to find problems or bugs in source code, and but luckily also these tools are used by these CISOs or companies, so they hopefully also use the available tools like SonarCube or other tools which are able to find bugs before those attackers find them, or these zero-day exploits, right? Then what's also good for the domain name industry, it hasn't had so much application yet, but one company which is using it a lot is .inc. So .inc is like .com or .co. It's a domain name used by brands. And .inc also is an interesting generator for names. So you can just type a term, and they're using AI algorithms to give you a good suggestion, like what could be your .inc domain name, what could be your company .inc, which is probably not given away yet, which is mostly the case for .com or .tw might be taken away already, but maybe you can register a .inc for your company if you have a company which is ending with the suffix .inc especially. And so I put a few, you can download the slides from the forum website, so I put a few business name generators, and you can see half of them now have some AI algorithms inside to help you generate the domain name. So these are some of the topics what can be used in terms of AI for domain name industry. It's of course, for security and detection of threats, and like CM, right? But AI-driven tools to generate names, to actually have more useful things, I think outpace actually the security risks and also the what you can do in a bad way with AI. And we have, I think we're going to talk about a little bit more with you guys, right? We talk a little bit more about like what are the laws related to that, because people, if they generate content, there must be laws as well. Yeah. So that's from my end. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. So maybe let me ask you one simple question. So I guess .ai, because it is a country code, CCTLD, so we can no longer apply for .ai as a private business, right? As a registry. It's not available.
Yeah, I mean, .ai is available as domain name, but it's not governed by ICANN laws because it's a country code, right? And if somebody would have a different domain name extension for AI in the future with as a brand TLD, that would be possibly probably in 2 years when there's the new round from ICANN to register new top-level domain names. And I think at that time there's going to be a lot of domain names applied for, like .gpt, I'm not sure what I would apply for, okay, but I'm sure people, they will use I mean, there's already a .chat, so
okay. So I guess if okay, you just said .gpt. I had thought that artificial intelligence, maybe that then is available and we can apply for it in the next round WGTOD.
Yeah. People, they could, but it's a very long domain name, and the longer it is, usually the less popular it is. But yeah, Microsoft is moving all their subdomains now to .microsoft, so maybe people, they will have an understanding for longer domain name extensions in the future.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Thomas. Next, we will invite Professor Xu to comment on AI's impact on the internet.
Okay. Yeah, so in fact, I will probably start from a more generic view of what AI has been doing. So in fact, most of you have witnessed the exponential growth of AI technology in the past few years. And AI has developed from mostly a data-driven and analysis-based technology into the more generative category of tools. And so that kind of expand the possible impact of AI on our everyday use of the internet. So in fact, many people have thought about using AI to do help we optimize the network, establish many autonomous network administration, fraud detection, personalization, and good technology for doing that. But as Thomas has pointed out, people may also try to use AI to expand how they may attack the internet system. So in fact, we could probably use AI to automatically try to come up with all kinds of different names similar to a particular concept, and trying to scan the network and identifying possible hosts where you may be able to take over. And also you can attack not just the DNS, but also the IP, so you can create many fake names that look very legitimate but can fool people. So in fact, for many people, we would like to be able to utilize AI technology to help people or even help system in automatically identifying suspicious activities on the internet. So that will be kind of using AI to attack, but we definitely need to use AI as a defense mechanism as well. And earlier this year, many people probably have heard about a paper published on attacking any website on the internet. So in fact, you can use LLM as a way to generate code to attack a site, and you can iterate until you succeed. So in fact, the claim is that they are able to attack most websites to execute database schema extraction or the injection attack autonomously, okay? And that's very scary, okay? I think especially after the whole night of earthquake scares, I don't think we need even more scares for everyone. So it is very important for us to maybe on the policy side come up with some kind of alignment of the side or the user of a particular access, and maybe analyze whether it is a legitimate access or not. Okay, so instead of just following the standard rules, okay, but maybe using AI to further analyze the intent of the particular activity, so that you may be able to extend the tools for detecting possible fraudulent access to particular sites. Okay, so I guess my to summarize, I think AI can be used to weaponize, can be weaponized to strengthen the attack for the internet. So we definitely need to AI as a tool to defend the internet. So for everyone doing the defense, we have to be mindful about all the new attacks that may be coming up, and be mindful about all the new AI tools that become available. And that's a very difficult challenge, but it's an exciting time for both sides. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Professor Xu. Following on what you just said, it seems that for part of the AI world is attacking the other part of the world. And still, also in the meantime, we can adopt AI technology to defend whatever the attack we are receiving. So it seems that there are two teams, red and white. So which one will win, or how the two teams will compete in each other?
It is it's kind of like in the typical cybersecurity in defending the viruses, right? You will always have new ideas for creating how to inject viruses into a system, and you have to be very adaptive in coming up with solutions. So I don't think it's a matter of who will win, because both sides will have access to the same technology unless there is legal consequences, right? But you know, assuming both sides will have access to the same tools, it's really a matter of resource dedication. So that's not a good news, but unfortunately, it's a reason why we cannot reduce our defense. We definitely need to probably allocate more resources in defending our system. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Xu. So she mentioned two key words. One is legal, and the second one is resources. So everybody should think about that. Okay, the next one is Isabel. So Isabel is was elected as the AI wave maker of 2023 for Taiwan. So she knows everything about internet and the AI, and she's also an expert of content regulation. So we let her share her view.
Yeah. Thanks for Ken-Ying's invitation. I'm so glad to be here to share some point of view of mine with all of you. Certainly, I don't know everything about AI, but I would like to share the word of the year in 2023 because I think that's a really interesting thing that all of the three publishers of the major dictionary, they choose something related to AI. So the first one is from the Collins. They choose the AI as their word of the year. So certainly, you know, it's about artificial intelligence, and it's about hardware, data, algorithm output, and maybe use cases in many different ways. And then Cambridge Dictionary, they choose this word, hallucinate. I'm not sure if all of you understand these words, but for me, I don't really use this word before ChatGPT come out. Yeah, I don't know these words at all, but I'm so familiar with a hallucination now. Because when you are using a large language model, you are always kind of invite yourself to be hallucinated in some way. And when I discuss with my engineer friends, we are talking about maybe hallucination is a feature of the large language model instead of a bug. So it's just intended in the technology. It's kind of difficult to manage it. So this is a very important part of why there will be a lot of output of the large language model doesn't seem very real or authentic or correct. Okay, and third is about authentic. I think that's really interesting things when AI can create so many content. People are trying to figure out what authentic means. Because there is a very, we cannot tell the fake and the real very well in the world empowered or collaborated with AI. So these are 3 words I want to share with you. And then I would like to show you some cases how AI could do for now. This is something Adobe just shares.
Adobe is using the power of generative AI to deliver the most advanced and precise editing tools ever in Premiere Pro. Let's take a look at some features coming soon powered by our new Adobe Firefly video model that'll transform how editors work. One common editing challenge is finding something in a shot you need to add or replace. The Object Addition feature in Premiere Pro, combined with Adobe's Firefly video model, lets you add or change objects in footage with a text prompt. Make a selection, write a prompt, and add anything you can imagine. These diamonds were created by the Firefly video model currently in development. And not only can you add objects, but you can easily remove them too. Object removal with AI-based smart masking makes selecting and removing objects across frames quick and precise. Here, this distracting utility box is removed with Firefly. Remove unwanted props, crew or gear, or copyrighted elements like brand logos. And with Premiere Pro, all your edits are non-destructive, so you can always get back to.
Yeah, so I actually shared this video in the Taipei District Court with judges. And I think the whole audience take a deep breath. Yeah, it's really difficult for them to like what the evidence is real or is what kind of modified by these tools. And the second thing Okay. So there's another one that you can even that make this lady. I think all of you are familiar with. She can sing rap for all of you.
See, I tell the truth from what I see and sell it to Perez Hilty. Don't.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I'm a paparazzi. I don't play no Yahtzee.
I couldn't wait how many things we can do with this. And yeah, this is the last one. This released by Microsoft in
But you know what I decided to
10 days ago.
I decided to focus all my attention, all my time on listening. So instead of doing something else, I just listened, and listened. Because I'm a true believer that if you're really bad at something like listening, for example, it only shows you that, hey, you have to practice listening as much as you can.
We introduce VASA, a framework for generating lifelike talking faces with appealing visual effective skills.
So it seems it's very easy to let any image of a person to speak anything you want the video to speak.
But also capturing a large
Okay, we can start now. I'm not sure how you feel about this, but yeah, I think artificial intelligence or generative AI, just like a genesis that it is has a bring risk and also benefits. So when we talk about this information, especially we will talk about the market space of speeches. The generative AI will help people to make a fake persona very easily with fake account and fake content, and there will be unfair competition of the speech in the marketplace, like because in terms of quantity and quality. And it's easy to use AI to do narrative manipulation with very low cost and technology barriers. So we can see the information environment on the internet is kind of harmed by the AI very badly. But at the same time, there are people who try to use AI to try to find a solution. Kovacs is a collective chatbot in Taiwan, and they do fact check for people. And daily they have 1,000 active users, but only 6 or 7 editors are helping fact checking. So you can see it's really difficult for people to fact check everything. But with the help of generative AI, they actually now can have this prompt. So they use our chatbot, ChatGPT, to have this earlier awareness, reminder for the users. So it actually can just use the ChatGPT with the API, then they can reply the message sent into the chatbot very, very quickly, and with a very, very low cost. It's like, okay, maybe $5 a month. So I think AI could also help us to detect the crime, cyber crimes on the internet, as Professor Xu just mentioned. But I think we have to be aware of all these crimes and also try to find a way to find the solution together. I think I'll stop here. Okay.
Thank you, Isabel. I don't know whether the audience feel the same way as I. I was a little bit shocked by the video you show. Okay. In the future, maybe there will be no evidence, or it's hard to authenticate or substantiate any evidence in the world. So, so I'm still in a little bit shocked. Anyway, next we have Max with us. We know that Meta has launched Llama 3. Why didn't you think about bringing Llama 3 to here? But anyway, but we know that Meta has been the largest social media in the world, and has been imposed many obligations of control internet content showed on your platform. And could you share with us, with AI, how you manage to better sort of do your content moderation, and how you expect AI will be helping you in the future?
Well, thank Ken-Ying for inviting me. And as you always know, that Meta is a big company, has a lot of product and services. And in terms of AI, I think there are 3 aspects of the company that can be seen as relevant in this discussion. One, Meta is a company that owns multiple platforms where people share content. So those are like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Threads, which is amazingly popular here in Taiwan. The second aspect of Meta in terms of AI is Meta is a developer of a large language model, foundational large language models. So Llama 2, Llama 3, which I will go into details a little bit in a short moment. The third aspect of Meta related to AI is that we are also building up the end user facing AI tools, which is called Meta AI. And yes, we also registered .ai for that use. So let me just go to the second point first, Llama 3, because I have talking points here. So Llama 3 is our next generation open large language model. It demonstrates the state-of-art performance on a wide range of industry benchmarks and offers really like strong capabilities, including the reasoning capabilities. And this means that it can provide more reasonable and more relevant responses to prompts that because it better understands what the prompts are. And like predecessor Llama 2, it will be licensed for commercial use. And actually, I just learned from Isabel that a lot of Taiwanese developers have already downloaded Llama 3 and use it. The difference between Llama 2 and Llama 3 is that there's a strong improvement in pre-training and post-training process. So that Llama 3 models are significantly more capable than our Llama 2 models when it comes to things like reasoning or code generation and following instructions. And Llama 2, like Llama 2, there are different types and sizes of Llama 3 models so that developers can choose the best version for their use case. There is a pre-trained model, which is more like a designed for customizable, and also a fine-tuned version, which is optimized for chatbot applications. And they are both available in smaller and large sizes, respectively 8 billion and 70 billion parameters. And those are valuable and useful for developers with different resources and needs. They are now available on GitHub and Hugging Face, and also the API hosting providers like Microsoft Azure. And they are also, again, subject to permissive commercial use. So I welcome you guys to, if you're a developer, you can download it. And I want to talk about Llama 3 because actually how we launch Llama 2 and Llama 3 is open source it, is a way that we see how we can responsibly develop the AI. So basically open source means that everybody has access to it, everybody can download it and use it to train more with more data sets. So basically, everybody knows that like the large language models, to train a large language model requires tremendous resources. And Mark Zuckerberg said that he's going to spend a lot of money to buy a lot of GPUs. And I mean, not many companies, not many entities have that kind of resources to buy this, right? So, okay. So I think that is a kind of general public good in the kind of mindset that the company, if they build up this large language model and outsource it, it will lower the cost of other developers that don't have that kind of investment or that don't have that kind of resources to get into the large language models and use it to train and for specific uses. So I think that's one, lower the cost for a lot of people to enter this space. And two, because it's open, so basically it's designed to be customizable and to be predictable. And in fact, like, open models can be downloaded onto local hardwares, and that means that developers can develop this in-house, providing organizations with the tools and control over how they want to customize the model for their own specific use case. For example, if a bank is trying to build up these AI capabilities to provide services to their customers, for now, it's really tough for them to use the applications that require internet connection and requires the data being shared to external data to external servers, right? So having an open source model, it will be allowing the users and developers to optimize and customize whatever they have in mind for their use cases. And third, which is also related to what I just mentioned, the data access and control. A lot of data cannot be shared online because of its proprietary, because it's commercial. So having an open source model that can be downloaded to hardware, it's something that can benefit a lot of developers. When it's open, it means that everybody, including the authorities and like civic hackers and researchers, they can download it and can look under the hood for open models to verify their performance, identify the risks and vulnerabilities, and develop new mitigations which can create safer, more effective, and efficient models to better support real-world problems. And so basically that's what I shared earlier with the Ministry of Digital Affairs last week, is that now Taiwan has this AIEC, AI Evaluation Center, and we welcome the AIEC to download Llama 2, Llama 3 in the future open source models to evaluate the performance, and also if there are any vulnerabilities, that we are happy to work with the developers and researchers community. And because cybersecurity also gives us a learning that a lesson that the cybersecurity is only more secure when it's open source. It's a sharp paradigm shift from what we heard 20 years ago, but the U.S. Department of Defense actually publicly acknowledges that security by obscurity, that means like not sharing the code, is in general more problematic because it inhibits the ability of third parties to respond to the vulnerabilities. So I think I just talked about the open source kind of approach to reflect on how we want to build AI responsibly. And we do know that Meta provides and offers this foundational model, which is intended for developers to use, to fine-tune, and to design the tools and applications that suit their specific needs. So we also know that these developers, our community, there has to be some capacity building. So we also work with the developers to let them know and build up the tools for them to test their products and test their the models and applications. So in a sense that we are all community working together on the same, based on the with the same experiences, and to make sure that the AI is delivered to users responsibly. The third part that I just mentioned earlier, this Meta AI, now it's available in 14 markets, 14 countries, not including Taiwan. It's English only, and I think that shows our cautious approach that we are hoping that it's going to be multilingual. We are hoping that's going to be multi-modalities. But for now, we want to be very cautious in terms of how we want to launch our product in the markets that English is not the majority language being used. So we hope that's going to be launched soon. But for now, I think that we want to be cautious in our approach. But if you are interested, you can look into you can log on to Facebook of Meta blog post to see how it works. Basically, there's going to be an agent or a chatbot on your messenger, on your feed, that will provide you with answers if you give them the prompt. And it can answer your questions, provide text responses, but also with the images and GIFs. So basically a series of images, not video for now, to my understanding. But that's something that we hope that's going to help our users on platforms to make their time more valuable when they are on our platforms. And let me just go back to the first part of where we are relevant to AI. It's a media platform, it's social media platforms. People share their content. The content created by AI and the content not created by AI, we treated them the same in a way that we assess the harmfulness of the content and we take action on the harmful content by removing, restricting, or downranking. So the harmfulness, the harm of the content is actually the determining factor of how we want to evaluate a content. But of course, as Isabel just showed, that there are videos, there are images that are created by generative AI that are so mimicking and so authentic in a way that people may be fooled. So that's the reason why we are launching our policies to make sure that, one, in the ads, if you are running ads with the content created by generative AI, then we require you, the advertisers, to disclose it. And we also ban the use of generative AI in electoral ads. So during election, people can, the advertiser or the candidates, they can't use generative AI content as their advertisement asset. That's on the ad space. But also, we want to work with the industry and we invest a lot of resources to build up this standard and also detection capabilities to label the content being created by generative AI tools. That requires industry-wide collaboration, and I'm hoping that that's something we can see pretty soon, because that will be ultimately beneficial for everybody to know what is generated by AI and what is not. Thanks.
Thank you, Max. It seems that maybe the other panelists would be curious about Llama 3, and that you have questions to Meta. You can listen now. After Max, just have some water.
Yeah, I would like to thank Max and Meta that I think open source model is really, really important for Taiwan, because we don't really have this resources and the data sets to train a pre-trained model from the scratch at this moment. So everything we are learning and using now based on open source models. And I think also Jensen Huang mentioned in a talk that he thinks the most important thing or event last year is Meta open sourced Llama. So I think I also agree that open source is a more reliable and trustworthy approach for AI development, because I think every community, they have the different perspective of value, and they have their, how to say, they would maybe disagree in some things, but agree in other things. So I think every community, like LGBT communities, maybe they will need their own large language model. And also we will need a large language model for specific use cases. So the open source model will help us to achieve this. And also I really think this open source model, open source AI actually democratize AI and help everyone has a chance to try and find a solution. Yeah, so.
Let me just add one thing, like a really strong example led by Professor Xu and her team at AIEOC was the TIDE, Trustworthy AI Dialogue Engine, TAIDE. I'm happy that they came across Llama 2 and tried it and make it a really powerful tool. And so I think that reflects the community and also the ecosystem, the collaborative ecosystem that the company provides the pre-trained model with the resources that the company has, open source it for developers like Professor Lee in Taiwan to use it and use the pre-trained model or large language model to train with the data sets that the team find it contextual, like context-related, relevant, and accurate, and train that model in a to make it a useful tool for people in Taiwan. So I'm looking forward to having that more usages, and hopefully, like Llama 3 can be fine-tuned again in Llama.
Yeah.
In TIDE.
Thank you, Max. So in fact, I definitely would like to applaud Meta's effort in releasing Llama 2, Llama 3 as open source. Although it's really open the model at this point, okay? Some of the data and some of the code is not completely open. However, it has been a tremendous help for Taiwan's effort in producing a publicly shareable version of a large language model. So we have always been getting questions about why don't Taiwan train the model from scratch? Why do we have to piggyback on other people? So the simple answer is simply the amount of resource required is just not available to us. Okay, so in fact, training a model from scratch now is at the scale of hundreds of millions of US dollars. That's a typical price tag, or even more. And what's more is that they require a huge amount of training data. So from Llama 2 to Llama 3, they grew from 2T tokens to 15T tokens, and also claim to be higher quality, right, with better pre-processing. So that's like 10 times more data. And with Taiwan's the TIDE project, even with almost a full years of effort, it is very expensive and time-consuming to acquire data that can be shareable. So in fact, we probably have accumulated only 200 million Taiwan-specific data. So that's, in comparison, that's relatively small. However, we have seen a good performance breakthrough in dealing with Chinese Q&A and Chinese task in general with TIDE version release. Right now it has been based on Llama 2. Since the release of Llama 3 a few days ago, our engineers have been working overnight, not sleeping, not because of the earthquakes, but we just have to catch up. And so rumor has it that we will be releasing a basic model based on Llama 3 within days. Okay, so hopefully we will try to collaborate with Llama and so boost the performance for everyone to share.
Thanks, Professor, Xu, bring us this exciting news about within days we'll have a new model. That's really wonderful. And the next part of this section, we are going to switch our focus on the AI governance framework and the model. From what Max just said, he also mentioned about something like if you want to place an ad on Meta's platform and use generative AI to generate your ad, then you need to make disclosure. So as a lawyer, I would wondering how that could be enforced in the real world. But anyway, that means we probably need norms or laws or legal requirement to enforce all these good requirements or good regulation. So we know that in March 13, EU Parliament adopted the very first AI Act in the world, EU AI Act. So I don't know whether any of you had read the entire statute or get some concept of that. But is that something we should sort of look up to and learn and adopt it as our AI governance work? For example, for Taiwan, we are going to have our AI basic law. The government told us that it's going to be there at the end of this year. So should we sort of borrow EU's model? Should we follow it? So the next one, I will ask Thomas to share his insight because he's from Germany about the EU AI Act and to enlighten us.
Yeah, so in Europe, there's actually there's a lot of laws coming or under preparation or being released. Not just related to AI, but also there's the Digital Service Act, there's the NIS2 coming about strengthening the network security for critical infrastructure. And actually the scope of critical infrastructure has been increased by a lot. It's no longer just the big operators, the huge telecom companies, but it's also like medium-sized operators and everybody who has the money to buy things from data centers, right? I mean, the data centers nowadays, they make a lot of money, I guess, with AI. And that's also why Amazon, I think they announced last month, they spent almost $3 billion in their own AI model, Anthropic. Microsoft invests another $100 billion in a new AI model they're working on right now. So there's a lot of money flowing. And of course, the government wakes up in that moment and they say, okay, we must regulate you guys. And but I think much of this regulation is not to stop people from doing some things, just to make sure that they are actually that there's someone they can contact, there's something they can shut down, that there's a plan in case something goes wrong. I mean, in Europe with GDPR, already in France and other countries, you need to have a legal mention on your website who's the contact. You need to have, you know, all these cookie dialogues, right? It's also EU law originally. And so those cookie laws actually are no longer necessary, but it's necessary that if you, for example, see fake content on some website, that you can contact these people and tell them, okay, hey, react within 24 hours and you have to take this content down, or you have to be someone who's, like GDPR gives you 30 days that you can rectify your information and that kind of stuff. So if you see a fake video of yourself, you actually have 30 days to make sure that this video is removed because it shows your face. You know, so there's many of these laws, they're actually not new. Many of these approaches are not new. So many of the things which are AI, they don't really come as a surprise, because we already talked 5 years ago about fake news generation, even without AI. So many websites, they change machine vision to AI overnight when ChatGPT came out. Okay, so I think the risk is not about the regulation coming up, but the risk is for Taiwan is specifically that Taiwan actually has to catch up on many things. And data protection, I hope that Taiwan, for example, will have an adequacy agreement with the EU. I hope it's going to come someday, just like Japan has, so the data can flow freely. And but I think Taiwan can probably learn a lot from the EU laws, and probably it would be better for Taiwan to adapt them, because they're going to govern probably the world as well. And even US companies who think they're not so much concerned about that, I think they find out even with GDPR that actually, okay, we have consumers there, what a surprise. So even ICANN was forced to move with, okay, just hide it all, right, in the WHOIS for domain names, and yeah, and it's actually a good thing. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I think about governance and governing laws which are coming.
So Thomas's advice that for Taiwanese business to do business across the world, then we need to take care of EU regulation. Right, that's your advice. So how about the other panelists?
So from a technologist point of view, sometimes we are afraid of regulations. However, I do agree that it is probably a good idea to adopt, at least to base our law by referencing the EU regulations, because I think that has been pretty well thought out with the balance of taking care of security as well as benefit of the technology. And some of the things like transparency and accountability is very core values for those regulations. So I do think we should probably adopt something similar to the EU regulations. And also I definitely agree that we should probably move kind of more like Japan in terms of the data policy, because in Taiwan, our data policy has been a little bit too conservative, and that puts a lot of restrictions on the kind of model we can develop. And it is actually not a good idea to restrict the good guys, okay? Because the bad guys can do whatever they want. And so I definitely would prefer relaxing the data governance, usage in terms of for training AI models. On the other hand, I always feel uncomfortable about any regulation limiting the use of generative AI, partly because I don't think we have the technology to really detect what is generated by generative AI 100%, and that's going to be the case probably for a long time. And on the other, and also I do believe that generative AI creates good content as well as bad content. And people creates good content as well as bad content. So I think we should put restrictions on fake content and malicious content rather than based on how it was generated. Okay, so but that is still a very difficult issue. But personally, I do not equal artificial to fake, because even things generated by real human can be fake. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. How about Isabel, your thoughts on the EU AI law and the Taiwan AI basic law?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a lawyer, so I'm very problem solution focused person. So when we talk about do we need a AI basic law, I want to make sure what kind of problem, what's the priority issue that we need to solve now. So to me, there are two things. The first thing is data. Yeah, because I think data is the base of development of artificial intelligence. And the reality is Taiwan, here, we're in Taiwan, we don't have enough data. Yeah, even with the amendment of copyright law, maybe we still don't have enough data. Maybe we need to find out or use synthetic data. So the first thing is, I think we need to maybe amend the copyright law to, as Professor Xu mentioned, to make this data available for training. But the government's attitude is that they are intended to wait for other countries, maybe because there are so many lawsuits in United States now. And it seems they would like to wait for the court's decision and attitude to find out what we should do. But I really think that's another good way to see this problem, because this is a policy thing, not something should be decided by the court. So you have to just identify if Taiwan wants to develop AI. So the government needs to make a decision. And the legislation, they have made the decision. And they should have compensation to the copyright owners. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I would say, that's cybercrime, because there are so many scams on the internet and a lot of fraud cases now. So we really need to take some actions for this problem. And that could be legislation, or maybe ask Meta and other big platforms to do something with this, because it's really, really destroy our trust on the internet. That will hurt everyone here.
Thank you, Isabel. I think it's a good idea about good perspective about copyright law. I have never thought about that. I also thought it should be the judge who decide. But you are right. If Taiwan want to develop AI, we should reconsider. Maybe we do legislation, a new law, to allow people use data and more image and more work to develop our AI. Yeah, maybe that's a very good way.
Yeah, because I was in the district court, and the judges are actually very anxious about they need to make this decision. They don't really think they are the person who should make the decision. Yeah.
I see, okay. And next, Isabel has give the floor to Max about what Meta can do.
Well, related to the EU AI Act, again, I think I will have to stick to the company talking points, and I think that's pretty nice here. We welcome harmonized EU rules to ensure AI is developed and deployed responsibly. From early on, we have supported the Commission's risk-based, technology-neutral approach and championed the need for a framework which facilitates and encourages open AI models and openness more broadly. It is critical that we don't lose sight of AI's huge potential to foster European innovation and enable competition. And openness is key here. We look forward to working with the AI Office and the Commission as they begin the process of implementing these rules. So these are the company-approved talking points. But I think I just want to summarize that I think the regulations should be on the application, but not the development. So the development, as Professor Xu and Isabel mentioned, like it needs a will, the political will or the country's collective will that we want to be good at AI, and that will generate or will foster the consensus that we want to modernize our regulations in terms of facilitating that, of promoting that development. So I think that's one, the application versus development. Like there are definitely a bad use of AI, especially the content being posted on our platform, for example. So I think we should treat it, the questions and problems differently and come up with the solutions, regulatory solutions if necessary, differently. But also I want to talk about, even if we want to regulate the AI content and AI applications, the regulation should be flexible because the technology advances so fast that the law being written today may be irrelevant tomorrow. And so if we want to use regulation as a tool, then it means that our legislator will have to pass laws every second day, right? So it has to be future-proof. So how to make it future-proof is that one, it has to be risk-based because it's not looking at AI, but looking at what kind of risk that us as a society can live with. There are risks that we cannot tolerate. There are risks that we think is something that we, as a country, as a collective community, that we can live with. So one, I think this has to be risk-based. And two, it has to be principle-based, like what we want as a country, like what kind of AI future that Taiwan wants to see. That kind of principle will guide a lot of governance thinking around how AI should be regulated. Yeah.
Actually, EU AI Act is also risk basis and the principle basis. Yes. So your company do agree with EU AI?
We welcome the EU's, the harmonization of EU rules, and we are looking forward to working with the AI Office and the Commission as they begin to process the process of implementing these new rules.
Okay, so in terms of institutions who are going to enforce or moderate or coordinate all these regulation efforts, I just want to know the panelists' opinion, whether that should be, for example, Isabel mentioned courts make decision, or someone like MODA, Ministry of Digital Affairs, or institution, organization like ICANN, TWNIC, or we should form another AI ICANN, something like that.
Yeah, just a word about that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of laws and frameworks in the world which all exist even before Taiwan existed, even before Japan became a new nation after the war, right? But like, for example, the Berne Convention for copyright already exists since the 1800s. And Taiwan, for example, is not a signer of the Berne Convention for copyrights. And so in Taiwan, if an author is dead, you could use the material to feed into the AI language model after 50 years. In other countries now it's 80 years, you know. So there's one thing for copyright which is there. And the same applies to other international laws like World Trade Organization and other rules. So as long as Taiwan is a member of that, as long as Taiwan is participating or can participate, for example, Taiwan was not able to, I think, to participate at the health summit somewhere because China objected it. So as long as people cannot participate, it's a big problem. And so the dialogue must remain open. The feedback must be open. They must listen to service provider. They must listen to. So the multi-stakeholder model like ICANN has is probably the best approach. Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, so while we are working on localizing the large language model, I do believe AI is really a global event. Okay, so Taiwan has to participate in the global standards and everything. So as much as we can, and I think that will be very important. Yeah.
How about you too?
Yeah, I also agree that multi-stakeholder is a very important mechanism in dealing with these problems. So we can decide who may be best for making the final decision. And I guess that will be different decision maker in different cases. So maybe in some way that the policymaker should be the government and administration or legislation, because actually in United States, I think the administration made a lot of decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah, they use executive orders to make a lot of decisions. So I think we should think more aggressively and maybe more open-minded to find many, all possibilities. Yeah, so maybe a lot of people should take different responsibility in these problems, these issues.
Thank you. How about Max?
Again, I want to allude to the principle that I mentioned, the risk-based. So it's not healthy and it's not constructive that we see AI as a one issue. But we should approach it based on the risks that we are seeing, because there are risks that we can't be able to tolerate, we can't be able to afford, right? So that kind of national security, for example, there has to be different models to be approaching that kind of issue compared to the less harmful AI-generated content. For example, like someone having 6 fingers, for example. So that is not a harmful content. It's a riskless content. So I think we are trying to. I'm here just sharing with you guys that we should we should identify the problems and find out the best approachable solutions. And based on the risks, and there are, for example, areas that Gen AI adds disclosure. It can be voluntary, it can be a industry standards, it can be a law, but we have to assess like how costly it is for the law enforcement or for the court to decide on each and every content. So there are stuff that the court doesn't have to have a role to play, but industry will have to shoulder some of the responsibilities. And I think that's how multi-stakeholder approach is also applicable in terms of discussing how AI is governed. Thanks.
Well, it's good that we have a consensus that we need to adopt multi-stakeholder model in terms of AI governance. Okay, so it's time to...
Can I add something?
Yes,
because we actually, the AI Academy, we hosted 4 deliberative workshops last year, so on different subjects. So what I would like to mention is that actually AI will help people to collect different opinions, and we can extend the deliberation into more people and use these AI tools to arrange a better
discussion mechanism. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I would also like to add, while both the U.S. and EU take the risk-based approach, and I think it's important since we live in a very dynamic world, and the technology is evolving so fast. So we definitely need a very agile way of evaluating the risk. However, I hope people would not be too taken by the use of the word risk, because we should not just look at the possible negative side of things. When we talk about risk, we really should think about the benefit and risk as a kind of a trade-off, and also taking into consideration of the cost as well. So sometimes some things cannot be compromised, and they have a very high risk and high cost of failure. Then they should be governed by much stronger regulations than things that can have a relatively mild consequences. Okay, so even though we talk about risk, I do hope people think both about the benefits and the risk.
Thank you. I think the audience must be anxious about asking questions from the panelists, so we now open the question to the floor. We have about 3 minutes left, so okay. Just take your chance. We have a very wonderful, excellent panelists here, and you don't have other opportunity to talk to them so freely.
Nobody wants that. I have a question for Thomas. Yeah, because to me, I think with all these generative AI tools available, I was thinking that how significant it is going to still stick with a simple or easy to remember domain name. In that sense, that if I can talk to the system in natural language, and it will generate the right domain name for me, and checking all the fraudulent sites and make sure I get to the right site. Is the domain name service going to change?
Yeah, so in terms of brand protection, there's a lot of, first of all, Unicode has released a character table which are confusables, right? So you have to say Cyrillic characters, and like for example, the A looks similar than the Latin A, and there's also a list of domain names or like characters which are often mistyped on the keyboard, right? So the S and the T are just next to each other, so people can misspell them. And so if you register those domain names for your brand, it might be good because you're going to get more visitors, or actually you're going to get more confused people to come to your website. So, but attackers might use that as well. And what I saw mostly is when I tested different AI language models like Copilot and whatever, they don't allow you to generate any homoglyphs. They don't allow you to generate anything which is fake. So you could not make a domain name, or you could not generate a domain name which is probably infringing the rights of somebody. They do this against. But they have to be very careful, because if you change the prompt and you enter like, okay, hey, I have a brand, I want to protect it, show me the things which are the problem, then it gives you a response. So, and it also goes in line with free speech, because AI tends to be very biased. If I say, draw me a picture of people in a restaurant in Taipei, you're only going to see Chinese ethnic people. Okay, so I want to come back to the same thing which I said before. It has to be a multi-stakeholder model. It has to include everybody. ICANN, for example, also they have an outreach program for underrepresented territories and whatever. So they make sure that those people are actually included as well, and that they also have a say. So that's very important, yeah. So if you say, okay, you want to have a website with a longer domain name, that might be, or longer string, there might be some input which comes into consideration for some people haven't thought about it, right? Because everybody in the domain name world thinks like, okay, short domain name, short brand name is the best, but actually it doesn't matter. I'm from Germany, right? So we have very long words. And they would have less problems with long domain names. You would be surprised how many long domain names are in the .de zone. Yeah. So it's actually okay. To answer your question.
Okay, to the audience, the last chance to raise your question.
You guys are you interested in seeing how Meta AI works?
Yeah. Of course. That's why we want.
So, Thomas, you were saying like, Thomas, you were saying like to imagine what a picture of
people in a restaurant in Taiwan.
I'm not sure if that works because I'm in Taiwan.
Yeah, so my thing is that AI is biased, and if you say people in a restaurant in Taiwan, it's probably only show you Taiwanese people, like Chinese ethnicity, even if there's 500,000 foreigners living in Taiwan, right? So
again, it's a English only product, so. So this is the prompt is a group of people eating a restaurant in Taipei.
Wow, so we have Taipei 101. Yeah.
Chinese restaurants. There is a bias. It looks like
only locals. Okay, only locals.
That's very inclusive.
And we have Taipei 101 in the background. It has mountains, so it knows where Taipei is.
They should show.
And there's a watermark here, like you can see, with AI imagined with AI.
Okay.
All right. So this is not available in Taiwan yet, but we're working on it. Hope that's useful.
Yeah.
Thanks for.
Hope you can add more things for the domain name industry as well, and for the brands. Yeah.
It will definitely do good for brand promotion. Okay, that's chance. If there's no question, then please give a big applause to the speakers. Thank you.